All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you ever so much for taking the time out of your busy days to join the session that we're hosting here today, all around making tax digital for income tax. As always, there's constant changes around running a business, and from April onwards, it's making tax digital for income tax and ensuring that you're set up, structured, and ready for these new changes. I'm very fortunate today to be joined by my colleague Lucy Burton, who heads up our client services here at the firm, who is also a chartered accountant, so is very much best placed to run and host today's session for us. Just to kind of set a couple little standards from the beginning, Lucy, I'm going to be passing over to you in just a moment. This recording will be monitored, and this session will be recorded for training purposes. If you do have any questions, please do pop them in the chat as they pop up. Don't wait till the end, as you're likely to forget them, and we will ensure that we've got plenty of time at the end of the session to address as many questions. And should you have any further queries or want a follow-up session, we're always available for one-to-one sessions to really take a deep dive into your business and situation. So, Lucy, please, over to you.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. As Jack says, hi, welcome. Really pleased to have you here. So this is for making tax digital for income tax. So we at the DT Group feel like this is a really hot topic at the moment and worth having a webinar for. So I have actually got the big presentation on my right, so apologies if it doesn't look like I'm looking at you guys. And I can't see any of the questions coming up as well. So Jack will keep an eye on that throughout the meeting, and again we'll go through them at the end. So yeah, as he says, I'm Lucy Burton and I'm head of client services. Let's just get into it. So what is making tax digital for income tax? So that is MTD for IT. You also might see this as MTD for ITSA. And this basically is for landlords and self-employed individuals, and they must submit 4 quarterly updates and a final declaration. So that means you will have 4 submissions throughout the quarters, and then you will have like you would normally have your self-assessment at the end. This becomes the final declaration. And there will not be any filing services provided by HMRC. So if you're used to going onto your HMRC portal or a login and inputting all of your information, so your expenses, your income for your relevant areas, you won't be able to do this any longer if making tax digital applies to you. You will actually have to use the recognised software. That is, for example, we look after Xero and QuickBooks for our clients. And again, this does only impact those that are landlords or self-employed individuals. So this does not impact partnerships or LLPs. They are both exempt for now. But again, this is likely to change in the near future. And we will let you know as and when we know more on that. In relation to some key dates, and again, these are really important dates to be aware of. And we have April 2026. So this is this April coming forward. If your qualifying income, which is above 50,000, so that's anything for 2024, 2025 self-assessment, that is then classed as exceeding above 50,000. Making tax digital will apply for you in April 2026, and you must sign up. And so from that point, if you are qualified for making tax digital, you will need to do quarter 1, 2, and 3, and 4 submissions. And quarter 1 is on the 7th of August 2026, and that quarter is for the quarter 1 filing period, which is the 6th of April to the 5th of July 2026. If, however, you would like this to run for the 1st of April to the, I'm going to get it wrong, 30th or 31st of June, apologies, should have thought about that beforehand, 30th I think it is of June, then you can apply for this. You must apply for this before you submit your first quarter though. So do make sure that you do that application. We can obviously support you with this if you would like. If you, though, have submitted your quarter 1 and you haven't applied for this, and therefore later on in your next few quarters, you want to change this, that is not possible. So do have a consideration whether you would like to run from the 1st of April or the 6th of April, because that will follow for the whole year. And then quarter 2 follows on. That deadline is the 7th of November 2026. This one will be for year-to-date period of the 6th of July. So this will include your second quarter, which is the 6th of July to the 5th of October. but it will also be the 6th of April up until the 5th of October. So for example, if you have a correction needs to be put through in relation to quarter one, you can make this adjustment in quarter two. And this basically applies for the other 3 and 4 quarters as well. So quarter 3 is due to be submitted by the 7th of February and quarter 4 is the 7th of May. For those of you that are signed up for VAT, these dates probably sound quite familiar because the 7th is the date due for VAT submissions as well. So they're kind of in line with that. And then in April 2027, if you're qualifying income in 25-26, so the return we've just that we'll be doing this year, if you have qualifying income above 30,000, you will have to be making tax digital from April 2027. And at the moment, they are suggesting that if you have qualifying income above 20,000, you will need to then apply for Making Tax Digital as of April 2028. Now, because that is a few years yet, that could still change. The qualifying income value might go up, might go down. We're not quite sure at the moment, but this is the guidance we have right now. And then again, what you'll have to do is have your final declaration at the end, which is the 31st of January 2028. So that's the key dates. But again, what are the requirements for Making Tax Digital? So first of all, we need to determine whether it applies to us. And if it does, we need to sign up. So what we'll do, we'll share this pack at the end of the presentation, and you'll be able to, if you need it, access this link, and you can then sign up for Making Tax Digital if it applies to you. Once you have signed up, you will need to now maintain digital records of all of your income and expenses for the sources of employment, the self-employment income and expenses. So this will include everything from sales, expenses, allowable deductions, everything you put through your business. You need to have this in a digital form so that it is possible to be audited, but also tracked through, again, for example, Xero or QuickBooks. And then once you're signed up and you're maintaining these records, you'll then get into that habit of doing a quarterly submission. And that is where you update HMRC. So HMRC doesn't want the transactional data. It will go through in Xero or QuickBooks, for example, again, as a total number. You will have the information and that detail in your accounting software, but HMRC just needs those high level numbers, as again, you're probably used to when you do your submissions already. And again, this is for anything that is UK property, foreign property, or each of your self-employment income association businesses as well. And then, as we said before, it's digital tax returns. So you're going to compile all your data to create the end of period statement, which again is the final declaration. In terms of the quarterly updates, what information should be included? So again, I've kind of alluded to this already, but it's quarterly updates summarize your unadjusted income and expenses. This has no tax or accounting adjustments are required. So in quarter one, you don't need to put through any adjustments if you don't want. And then quarter two, you can start putting through adjustments. Again, if there's an adjustment that needs to be done because you didn't maybe put through an expense or an income from quarter one. But again, there's no requirement between 1 to 4 to do the adjustments. You can do all of the accounting adjustments, for example, at the end of the year in your final in your quarter 4 submission, and then that goes through the final declaration. So again, there is a bit of leeway at the moment with that. It could change, but that's what they're saying for us right now. And again, the quarterly updates will therefore be income and expenses. So this will have different category codes. If you're used to using Xero or QuickBooks, you're used to seeing the different categories we have. So for example, you'll have motor expenses or IT equipment, things like that. It will all be high-level category codes rather than a transactional receipt by receipt for those expenses as well. And again, it's similar information that you're already used to providing. So it just means it's on the computer rather than in paperwork form. And then when it comes to choosing the right software, so we obviously here at DT like to support 2 specific ones, which is Xero and QuickBooks. But there are other softwares out there. There is also a software that is called a bridging software. This is something that we at the DT group are not going anywhere near. It just complicates matters, and that's why we're choosing not to use that. But other accounting softwares, other accountants potentially will use it, and they'll also potentially use other accounting softwares. But the main thing that you want to know when it comes to the right software is it a cloud-based software? So is it cloud-based storage that allows you to access the software and complete tasks from anywhere? You know, you could be in your car, parked up, just got my motor vehicle receipt, and you can take a photo of it there and then. You then don't lose the receipt, and it's already in your filing system. Again, digital record keeping, does the software allow you to have all of the information you need on your business in one place? Online filing, so we have in Xero and QuickBooks, there will become a functionality that hasn't become live just yet because they're waiting for April. And that will have like a tax like button. And basically you can click on that and you can then see your quarterly submissions and you can see it all the way through. So again, does your software have this functionality? App integration is a really powerful tool. Again, Xero has HubDoc integration, so that's something that they already offer. And then QuickBooks, you can also have other tools. For example, I've used Dext with QuickBooks. And then there are, again, some other tools like that you can integrate. So Stripe is another one, and Go Cardless is another one. Again, it's just pulling all that information from your relevant areas to put it into your business account. And then it's in your final accounting software in Xero or QuickBooks. And automatic, you know, being automatic updates to software, so you don't have to worry about being compliant and, you know, the latest regulations. These software providers already do that and have that as a key focus, so that they will always make sure if something changes and you need to have, for example, another category available, they will make sure that that is something in that accounting software. So again, when it comes to choosing the right software, you can always speak to us. We will always talk about Xero and QuickBooks because they're our two favorite chosen accounting tools, but there are more out there if you'd rather do it alone. So probably the most important question is, does this apply to me? You know, you've told me what it is, you've told me when it happens, but does it actually impact me? That's what I want to know. So I've got a couple of slides that hopefully I've gone through all of you in these slides, but if I haven't, obviously do ask away and we can explain a bit further later on in the Q&A. You are a limited company. Does Making Tax Digital apply to me? No, is the short answer. Making Tax Digital for income tax does not apply to limited companies, and as it applies to self-employed people. But therefore, as an individual, I take drawings, I take dividends, director loan repayments, benefit in kinds, all those sorts of benefits. I take money out of the business. So does that make it apply to me? Again, still no. This is not qualifying income for Making Tax Digital, so it doesn't apply to me. My limited company, though, is a property business. Does that make it apply to me? Again, no. The limited company comes before being a property business. Therefore, it doesn't, again, apply to you. So if any of those three things are you don't need to worry about Making Tax Digital. And we don't expect it to come through for limited companies. But again, you never know. Things could change. I am employed. That's my only income. I'm fully employed. Does it apply to me? No. And the reason for that is because you are already taxed on a monthly basis through PAYE, and therefore there is no need for you to have any extra accounting to be done. So that does not apply to you either. They're the nice two easy ones. LLP, does it apply to me? Your LLP income, specifically the LLP, but again, Making Tax Digital does not apply to LLPs. How about my share of LLP profits? And that's whether I'm designated member or junior partner. If these are above 50,000 in 2024, does Making Tax Digital apply to me in April 26? No, this is not qualifying income. Again, because it's not self-employed income, it's LLP profits. Therefore, it does not apply to you. We do, however, expect Making Tax Digital to come through at some point for LLPs in the future. When this might be, we're not sure. They alluded to some changes this budget, but they never came through. So do keep an eye. And again, we will always keep an eye on those changes and let you know if any of that changes. But this year, it does not apply to you. Partnership. Well, I've got a partnership business. Does that apply to me? No. Again, same situation. Making Tax Digital does not apply to partnerships. And therefore, if your share of the partnership profits are above 50,000 in 2024, it's not qualifying income. Therefore, April 26th, you don't have to apply for Making Tax Digital. Again, though, this may change in the future, but it won't this year. So stay tuned. But I have multiple businesses. Does Making Tax Digital apply to me? Wow. So this is then where it comes a bit in a grey area. So I've got 2 sole trade businesses which exceed 50,000. So yes, because the 2, so if say one is 25 and the other is 26, you're over 50,000 and therefore your self-employed income is over 50,000 in 2024. Therefore, Making Tax Digital will apply to you this year and you'll need to sign up. I have 1 sole trade business and a property business that exceed 50,000. So again, both of them together exceed the 50. You therefore will have to apply for Making Tax Digital. The way it looks is it looks at you as an individual and how many businesses you are, self-employed for. So that's why it will apply for both of those areas. And then put very simply, I'm a sole trader or I'm self-employed, however you want to, name it, that does apply to you. So Making Tax Digital for income tax applies to sole traders, self-employed individuals and landlords. I appreciate that's a lot of words I've already gone through today. So I have pulled together a worked example just to help explain this a little bit more. So if you were client number 1 and you have various income, because we understand that a lot of people don't just have the one business or don't just have the one type of income. We thought to suggest this in a numbers term because I'm a numbers person. I prefer it looking like this. So I have had profit share. So that's maybe my LLP profits or my partnership profits. I've had profit share of 10,000. I've also had self-employment income of 51,000. And my employment income is 9,000. So my total is 70,000. Does Making Tax Digital apply to me? Well, it does. And that is because your self-employed income element is over 50,000. However, as you can see on client 2, similar sort of numbers, total is 70,000. However, in this section, they've actually got self-employment income of 20,000. And so because this isn't over the 50,000, Making Tax Digital does not apply to client number 2. And so this again is where it's going to be really important for yourselves to understand which elements are you getting which amount of income, and are you therefore exceeding that 50,000 within the self-employment section. Now, if you're thinking, that's a lot of information, what does it mean? What do I now need to do? We've pulled together a quick next steps. Does not mean this is everything you need to do. Obviously, you can have meetings with us, talk about it with us. We are here. We've done lots of webinars ourselves and training to make sure we have been able to deliver the right content for you guys today. But what I would suggest is if you're not sure, you can attempt to sign up for Making Tax Digital through the HMRC website. Again, we can share this documentation so you get the link later on as well. You need to apply if you want to have the 1st of April as your start date. Again, you need to do that before you do any submissions. If you have an accountant, you also need to authorize them as your agent for Making Tax Digital, and hopefully we're the accountants. And also register with their accounting software if you haven't already. And again, we particularly support Xero and QuickBooks. And yeah, I think that is kind of all. And then we're going on to the Q&A section. We have also got some questions that have been asked previously ahead of time. So I will flash them up on the screen. But if you have any questions yourself, please let us know. I may have covered everything, and that's great. But if I haven't, let us know.
We definitely got a few questions, Lucy.
Right.
I just wanted to say, thank you so much for the insights there, and just to follow on from from what you've said. What does this mean? Before we jump into the questions, I've been at the DT Group for the best part of 10 years, and I feel very passionate about the industry that we work in. When it comes to running a business, there's so much time, effort, investment that goes in. And yes, we have different sources of income, which we can clarify in a moment. But really the changes are, we need to stay on top of our numbers. We're running, we have a self-employed business, making sure that, we can't just do that tax return, get those numbers together at the end of the year. We need to know what's going on a regular basis, the incomes, the outgoings, and make sure that we're working towards goals. So yes, this is going to seem like much more work initially. Again, we can come on who's going to be responsible for those quarterly submissions and what does that look like, because there's absolute flexibility. But it's now kind of with the new tax year just around the corner, it's a massive opportunity to start getting into those good habits, using accounting software to leverage your business and make sure that you're constantly working towards goals by keeping your numbers up to date and being able to make those informed live decisions on a regular basis. So yeah, I think, Lucy, we'll start off with the first question that come in, which actually kind of go into that worked example. It's, I'm self-employed and I'm also employed. Please, can you explain how I will do my tax returns moving forward?
Yeah, of course. So what this means is, and again, apologies, I haven't got a worked example in terms of showing you Xero, because I have been talking with Xero, but they're not quite ready for us, unfortunately. So when that is ready for us, we will show you, and we will create a couple of these worked examples as well. So this exact question, we will make sure that it's really clear in that video as an option for you. But yeah, when it comes to your self-employed element, I would, again, I feel like a broken record, use Xero or QuickBooks to hold that information for your Stagecoach. And then in terms of your employed element, this will be taken through PAYE. So HMRC will already know of this figure. And again, apologies, I can't show you, but basically what would happen is on your tax page, so this is in Xero, it's called a tax page, you will have your self-employed element, which is coming directly from your Xero account, and then it will also have at the very bottom a section which will show your PAYE, because you've already connected yourself to Making Tax Digital, and therefore your PAYE has then been connected to you, and then it's been connected to your Xero. So that will automatically pull through. So you don't have to do anything in the sense of saying, well, I'm also employed, because it will show you on that screen for you. Again, we will make sure that is really clear in the video that we produce later on, if you have any further questions, but I hope that's helped answer that one for you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lucy. So the next one is, will we be charged extra for the software on top of the monthly fee that we pay to our accountant? And will this be quarterly? I think I can answer this one if you don't mind. So obviously by having the accounting software in the first place, you're 90% of the way. I think when it comes to the accountant that's engaged to support you in your business, certainly for us, we do have 3 different options that we will be presenting to all of our clients from April onwards on what that looks like. So if you're already on accounting software and that's being paid for via your ongoing accountancy costs, or you're paying for that directly, there's going to be no further charges on that front. But certainly deciding whether it's you in your business or whether you're going to outsource that to your accountant to take care of the quarterly submissions, that's a decision that you will have to make. And we will be sharing lots of information ahead of time on that.
And when it comes to specific costs as well, so Xero and QuickBooks, again, we do partner with them, and they do have a new software subscription option for those that are self-employed. So you won't have to pay for the most expensive software out there. I think with Xero, it is typically I think it's called Simple, and I think for QuickBooks, it is potentially actually called Simple as well for QuickBooks. But basically, I do believe both of them should be lowest cost £7. And when it goes into the higher brackets, different accountants are different, but we also do benefit from having a bit of a discount through these companies. So we actually push that discount over to yourselves. So again, just because you see a higher cost online doesn't necessarily mean if you're with us, that is the cost you're going to get charged. So again, that is always worth having a conversation with, but not all accountants do offer that benefit. So something to be mindful of. But again, £7 a month is how it would go through because the software providers charge us on a monthly basis.
Okay, thanks, Lucy. So if we use Zero already and are with D&T, are we just going to continue using the software that's already in place?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, nothing's going to change for you. What we will look to do is, as Jack says, we'll have a conversation about what type of option you want to go with us. So do you want us to do the quarterly submissions or will you be doing it? That's the only thing that will then change what needs to happen. So once we have that conversation with yourselves, we can explain exactly what that means. But for now, if you want us to do everything, then yeah, continue doing as you are, really.
And I think, you know, that's so important that there's so much time and investment that goes into a business. We don't want to let ourselves down by not making these regular submissions and starting to incur penalties and late filing. It's already tough enough in the industry and the economic situation that's present at this time. So let's stay on top of our numbers. Let's talk regularly to our accountant and let's make sure that we're submitting those accurate numbers on a quarterly basis to help put us in a best position to succeed in the future. Brilliant. So as a Stagecoach, we're an educational partnership. Can I clarify if this means we're exempt or not?
Yeah, so you are a partnership. So that means Making Tax Digital does not apply to you at this moment.
Okay, fantastic. So by income, and this one got me a few times before we kind of really started getting into it. Into the detail. So by income, can I clarify, you mean turnover and not profit from self-employment?
Yeah, that is true. So yeah, sorry, qualifying income, it is very much income. It is not about your profits anymore. And so where normally we talk about the tax on your profits, in this case, we are saying your qualifying turnover or income or revenue is what we are referring to, yes.
Fantastic. Can I bring my separate self-employed work onto the same Zero portal as my existing Stagecoach business?
So this is a really interesting one. I have attended quite a few Zero specific webinars for Making Tax Digital, and during those sessions, they have said this is possible. And then when we've asked them to prove it, they've come up a bit short. So we are still trying to work with them to understand exactly how this works for you. It might be that, again, in those categories that you can say, this is the self-employment for you're a Stagecoach, aren't you? So self-employment for the Stagecoach, and then it might be that you can add another section and just do your high level numbers. But if you want the whole, your bank account feeding in as well, that's the thing that we're still working with them to understand how that best works. Because again, we want it to be really clear which element is, for example, your Stagecoach, and which is maybe, I don't know, accounting company, if you've got that, for example. So that one, unfortunately, I feel like I've not really answered, but it 100% is on my to-do to make sure we can clarify exactly how that works. So again, we will make sure that we cover that in our Zero specific video that we do as well.
Thanks, Lucy. So we've just got another question that's come in. So sorry, but I thought we Stagecoach are sole traders and the educational partnership was not classed as partnership for tax purposes.
Sorry, I think so. I know some Stagecoach are partners and some are sole traders and so on. So apologies, that's probably me mixing your specific one up. So yes, if you're a sole trader, so if you are a sole trader, then it does apply to you because that is self-employed income. However, if you are down as a partner and it's a partnership, so therefore there is two of you that own that partnership, then that is where it's no longer your sole income and it is someone else's income as well. It goes into one business, you both take profit share from that, then it becomes a partnership. More than happy to take this one specifically offline to work through it though, because I feel like I might end up confusing matters a bit more without working it through specifically with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you could just do me a quick favor, Lucy, just as we go to wrap up the conversation, if you could just go back to our, where our details are with our email address and contact number. Emma, please do reach out, give us a call, and we can have a bit more of a one-to-one conversation on your current situation, as it might be kind of different to everyone else that's joined the session today. So we absolutely kind of, just to finish off there, if there isn't any more questions for today, firstly, Lucy, thank you so much for the insights there. Thank you everyone for taking the time out of your day. We will absolutely be sharing the recorded session and welcome everyone to come and have a chat with us and see what does your business and qualifying income look like for the new tax year. So yeah, thank you ever so much, everyone.
Sorry, I've just seen a last minute question. Yes, I must admit, I never know how you pronounce it, but Intuit software is the same as QuickBooks. It is the like hierarchy brand name. But yeah, I can see people are dropping off. So yeah, please do. And any other questions, just let us know and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.